Greetings, everyone. We're moving on to Naughty Dog's other franchise they moved on to after Crash Bandicoot. It's Jak and Daxter for the
Uncharted!
PlayStation 2. No.
The Last of Us? No, we already did that. And we didn't even finish Crash yet. What are we doing jumping into this series?
Well, you're in charge of Crash 3, John.
But everyone has something else to play.
Well, to be fair, it does speak to Naughty Dog's range that they can handle both this kind of game and the Uncharted brand of game equally well.
Did they seriously start this game with a guy scratching his own ass?
That's Daxter, yeah.
Ugh.
Hey, to be fair, Crash Bandicoot was never like the super happy rainbows and fluff kind of mascot platformer, okay? He probably scratched his ass in a game at some point, too.
Not the first thing you saw, though.
Well, you're staring at Crash's ass a lot in that game. Does that count?
So, you know, this is the most child-friendly game in the Jak and Daxter series, but the second game features Daxter staring at a girl's cleavage, very obviously, so it stops being kid-friendly after this.
Yeah.
Would you classify this as Naughty Dog still in their Crash Bandicoot phase and trying to transition out of that with Jak and Daxter?
Kind of, yeah. It felt sort of like Jak and Daxter was trying to be a spiritual successor to Crash Bandicoot. And obviously the second and third games don't feel remotely Crash Bandicoot-like at all, so... This is our protagonist, who in this game is a silent protagonist. He speaks in the later games. Daxter's reaction upon his first words is hilarious.
A typical silent protagonist, though, for this sort of role. Nothing but grunts, hi-ahs, and ouch.
Yeah, pretty much. And they lampshade that in later games by referencing Jak as someone who used to be a mute.
Wait, he took a vow of silence or something?
No, he just didn't speak.
Yeah.
It's not even he doesn't speak because they want you to be in the character. It's he doesn't speak. But yeah.
Okay, so experiences. I gotta say, Jak and Daxter was one of those platformers I just had no interest in ever going to for the longest time. I've seen this game everywhere in the early 2000s, as much as I did with Sly Cooper and Ratchet and Clank. But Jak and Daxter would be like the last of those three major franchises that I would visit. Like, I played Ratchet and Clank beforehand, Sly Cooper beforehand, but not Jak and Daxter. And you know what? I don't know why, in my case, I was so hesitant to play this series, considering how much I loved the Crash Bandicoot back in the late 90s. But it was just maybe I was tired of the platformer genre at the moment. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't know why I was just so... I was avoiding this game for the longest time. What about you guys?
Daxter, you telling me you didn't see that big orange hunk of metal on the ground?
Well, my first experiences were when I got my PS2. I saw the commercials for this all the time, but when I actually got my PS2, this was one of the first games I got for it, so...
Yeah.
I didn't get to play this game right away, but I was excited for it when I started seeing commercials on Toonami and stuff. When I did play it, it was pretty impressive, though, because I played it early on enough that what it did to, advance the genre was pretty amazing at the time.
I hadn't heard of this game, before I started, until I was, about 13, 14 years old. So, there's that, and, everything I've seen about it, I haven't played this one yet, everything I've seen, I can't care. Something about it just makes my eyes glaze over. So, I don't know.
Well, okay, the gameplay style that Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter represented was new at the time they came out, but it became the standard after that. Every game in the platforming specifically genre was this.
Can I intersect?
Go ahead.
Wouldn't you think it was already the standard by the time Jak and Daxter came out? Because this
I
is
don't
2000.
mean-
This is Jak and Daxter was what 2001. 2001. We already had Mario 64. We had all the rare games.
I don't mean the 3D platforming, and I don't mean collectathons. I mean the way the game controls, the way it's structured with like one big open world and whatnot. Okay. Sonic Boom controls pretty much exactly like Jak and Daxter.
I would disagree there, but go on.
It's not as polished in terms of control, but it's the same general flow, you know?
There's one thing that I've only had minimal experience with this game for this commentary. I haven't beaten it at the point of this recording, but if there's one thing that immediately kind of stuck out when controlling Jak is this guy's kind of sluggish. Like, his ground speed is like 5 miles per day.
It only really feels slow because of how big the areas are, though.
That
Like-
could be it. Like, this is like the complete opposite of Crash. Crash was linear hallways to the extreme, which was never a problem for me. This game wants to branch out from that, and it wants to become very explorative, like Spyro was for Insomniac. But they didn't. They kept his speed pretty slow, and it was like, I wanna explore, but I like a faster moving protagonist, if you don't mind.
Roll jump, John.
Yeah, Jak and Daxter feels actually at its best when it's in a more confined area, like, say, the last level of the game, or in those areas like the swamp level, where things get more confined and constricted, and it doesn't feel like it takes quite as long to get from one side of the area to the other.
Well, my issue was never really with the way the game controlled or anything, because like I don't like I've seen very little of this game in action. It's the character design, something about the way everybody looks and the way the art is just I can't get into it. I can't. I can't really describe it. It's just it irks me for some reason.
Too generic, too zany.
I don't.
It's very-
It's odd. It's just I'm not good at explaining this sort of thing because I'm not really an art kind of person. Like I don't.
You know, Ted, it's probably the same reaction you're getting here from the very, very basic American cartoon style game that this has, that people who don't like anime get when they see a game that's in blatant anime style. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe like I don't know, but like I don't have any problems with like Banjo, which is pretty American cartoony. So like
Well, not just American cartoony, but basic American cartoony. But never mind that for the second. We found a Power Star. That's basically what these things are. With the difference, the very blessed difference, that they don't kick you out of the level when you get them.
which is why Banjo is
it's-
better than Super Mario 64.
The best thing that Jak and Daxter does is you can get all the power cells in a given level in one pass. Unless there's something outside the level that you had to activate to open a certain, like, eco vent or something, which is actually a very rare thing in this game, so...
Is this the kind of game where you get power-ups to increase Jack's abilities, or does what he start with stay what he has for the most part?
He starts with he only, in this game you mainly have just your punch, your spin kick and whatnot, and your double jump. You do get eco vent power-ups as you progress through the levels, like the blue eco, which we're going to actually see right now, speeds up your running speed and magnetizes things to you. It also activates certain mechanisms when you get close to them. Why am I explaining this at the same time that Samos is explaining it? I could have just shut up and let him do it.
Because we are in charge here for this playthrough.
Also,
Yeah.
because Ryan didn't turn the subtitles on, and I've got the volume down so low, I can't even hear anything these people are saying.
Honestly, if Jak had controlled like this the entire way through, players like John would probably have a much easier time getting into this.
But it's a little weird for me going back to this franchise when I've already played plenty of platformers that were released in the mid-2000s that have this to work off of when it comes to collecting things. Because in this game, you have to collect Blue Ego just to have like collectibles attract to you, or just to speed things up. When in most collectathon platformers later down the road, just have the collectibles automatically magnetize towards you when you get close enough. It's like Treasure Magnet in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, and as developers made games, they started to realize that individually picking up little objects in a 3D environment is kind of tedious. So,
or at least when there's a lot of them scattered around. Like if you only need to pick up like one thing on the ground, that's fine for me. But if there's like a line of thingies that you need to pick up, then that's when it gets annoying, and having them like sort of zoom to you gets a little bit easier. At least in my experience.
Yeah, it's just you don't need wide magnetism, just a little area around the character that attracts things to you, so that you don't have to precisely stand on every individual spot. But that was after Jak and Daxter that became common. In fact, I don't think it became common, like really common, until the PlayStation 3 era.
No, I played a few of PlayStation 2 games that had collectibles automatically attract you. Hell, like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Well, at least the shiny things.
Yeah. It was trending during the PlayStation 2 era and became the norm during the PlayStation 3. The other thing about Jak and Daxter, as far as collectibles go, is that there are actually a set number of precursor orb tokens, basically the coins you collect. There's exactly 1,000 in the game. No real reason to collect all 1,000, because there are way more in the game than you need to, but when you collect all 1,000, the game does tell you you've collected 1,000 of 1,000 precursor orbs. Yay, I suppose.
Well, you could exchange the precursor orbs for power cells. So.
Oh yeah, but like I said, there's way more than you need to get all of the power cells. Like by the time I even get to the final level, I've collected all of the power cells that you can get with precursor orbs.
We'd love to stay and chat, Big Green, but we're itching to get on with our adventures.
Fine.
Yeah, for someone who got spontaneously transformed into a humanoid orange rat, Daxter's wit is surprisingly intact.
Daxter's not a rat, like normally?
No, well, we were watching this in the opening cutscene, Ted. He fell into a vat of dark eco and popped out as an Otzel. That's what it's called, an Otzel.
Ted's already at level 15 in Tetris.
Yep.
They actually came up with a really hilarious explanation for why that happens in Jak and Daxter 3, but I'm going to leave that unspoiled because it's a lot funnier when it hits you by surprise.
Yep, pretty much.
In the meantime, nice little Crash Bandicoot homage there. The piranha plant.
Yeah. One thing Ryan is not doing is that you can actually stop by the garage underneath the hut and talk to Kira. It's kind of a waste of time, but also pretty funny because Daxter, even in rat form, is trying to flirt with her. Yeah, he's a bit of a jerk like that.
So this is, at the beginning of Jak and Daxter is really rudimentary with how things work. Like, everyone in this village has something that you need to get for them in order to get a power cell. So nothing's really new here. So, the one thing that kind of threw me off playing this part of the game was that when you enter a new area, you're given a subtitle for that area, and I keep thinking, well, this is a new level that I shouldn't be going into. I should probably do that one mission the other guy told me first. But it's actually, they're all part of the same hub world.
Yeah, that was one of the big things Jak and Daxter did that was relatively new for the genre at the time. The entire game world is seamless. That does mean there are, like, long areas you run through while the next area is loading, though, so, yeah.
Well, God of War did that, so...
Yeah. But yeah, there's nothing to really break the flow of whatever you're doing at a given time. When I play this game, I usually just, like, clear out each level one by one. One of the things that you can do in the town section is talk to everyone, get all of their missions, and then just go back to them whenever you're actually finished with what they need.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I ended up exploring the whole village first to see what people have to say or offer, and then I just complete the rest of the hub world as normal.
Yeah. Like, you can pace it however is best for you. Also, of course, not all of the missions are necessarily about platforming. In that, way that 3D platformers have a way of stretching things out by making you do things other than platform. Fortunately, Jak and Daxter isn't too bad about that. But there are little moments like this where you have to sort of just maneuver the cannonballs to get the boxes, and... Oh!
Okay, like, it's been, like, 10 minutes and I'm already irritated by Daxter's voice. I'm just gonna say that right now.
You know what? Not to make you the odd man out here, Ted, I don't like Daxter that much either.
Daxter is a lot funnier when Jak himself actually talks and there's interplay between the two. But as it stands, Daxter is the only voice that you ever hear when you're running around.
Okay, the thing that I was thinking about is that I was gonna say Banjo-Kazooie, but I more love Tooie, the sequel. Like, I have issues with the first game, which we will get to eventually, but, like, Kazooie is the same sort of somewhat obnoxious character, so I was wondering, okay, so why is Daxter irritating me while I'm perfectly okay with Kazooie? And I realized it's because Kazooie never talks. She has Banjo-Kazooie kind of noises, but she doesn't have a voice actor. And
Well, one of the other things about Daxter is that he's less annoying in the later games precisely because the later games don't try to be kid-friendly with him. It's like there's a certain incompatibility between kid-friendly and obnoxious that makes the obnoxious characters just annoying. Like, if you look at it, at any given 4Kids anime dub, whenever there's an obnoxious character in it, you get the same basic effect, where they're trying to keep the same obnoxious feel without keeping the same type of humor. And it doesn't work, because that's not how obnoxious people are. It's an uncanny valley of bad jokes.
Well, yeah, I think my problem with Daxter is that he is both obnoxious and always with you. So you hear him all the time.
The other thing is, I think in Jak and Daxter 2, Daxter doesn't talk in this tutorial way as much either. Like, he just sort of assumes Jak knows what the fuck he's doing because he's been through an adventure already. So most of the time when he's talking, it's in a cutscene, and people are talking back.
Oh, come on!
We've all been there.
I can just see the throne controller.
We've all been there. Yeah, this
I thought this was something you would have to wait to activate the eco vent first. But then just out of shits and giggles, I decided to try it, and I managed to make it. But God, I can't imagine what you're going through to just miss it that much.
Yeah, it does help to activate the blue eco vent before you do this. But yeah, I mean, I usually activate the blue eco vent anyway because it saves me a trip back to get those precursor orbs from that blue eco thing on the nest rock.
do you get anything for collecting all the stuff, or is it just...
You get a preview for Jak 2, which is kind of stupid because Jak 2 opens with the exact same scene.
Funny thing about that, though, there are 101 precursor orbs, but you only need exactly 100 to get the cliffhanger ending. So what's the extra power cell for?
Okay, like, that kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'd never really like it when, like, the first entry of a thing assumes that it's going to get a sequel. Because what happens if you don't get the sequel? You look like a fucking dumbass. That's what
It was Naughty Dog.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean it necessarily is going to end up being successful. Like, you know...
I think they had enough credit after Crash Bandicoot. I think it was a sound assumption.
Well, yeah, but then
Well,
then you get instances like Rare saying at the end of Banjo 2 saying there's going to be a Banjo 3, and oh, look at that, it's been almost 10 years and we haven't gotten one.
It's been over 10 years.
Sony's got Naughty Dog's back. It was a sound assumption.
Also, I think Naughty Dog probably would have just barreled ahead and made a sequel even if it wasn't successful.
That too.